Good morning, everybody. Or is it afternoon? It's afternoon, huh? That's my bad. I am so glad to see so many of you out there looking at the back of my head, unfortunately, because that's what I did. I left the back of my head showing. Let's see here. There we go. A little bit better, right? I think TW won the internet. Katrina, I think you're right. TW, congratulations. Unfortunately for you, it's a weekend gig, and you get it all weekend long because this is going to be our only live stream today. But I appreciate you taking that on for everybody. It's an important job, and somebody has to do it. Just looking at the chat, there is a ton of talking going on here. I'm just trying to catch up and see who all is here. It's pretty much everybody, right? I was the last to show up. A big shout out to Stephen Lee. I'm not sure if Stephen, I haven't seen Stephen yet in the chat yet, but that artwork we started out with is courtesy of Stephen Lee. He sent that to me over on Twitter, and sure appreciate it. He sent me a couple of other things as well. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's good to be here. Oh my goodness, let's switch to this one. It's a tough job I've got, and one day I'll figure out how to do it. Good morning, good afternoon, morning where you are. If you're west of me in the United States still, you've got just a few more minutes of morning before noon. Debbie says, good morning, not afternoon here yet. Good. Glad I could be there. Let's see here. Shauna, Mary Kay, Dallas, Terry, Reds in California, TW, Morton, Roxanne, good to see you here as well. Colette, Ginger, oh man, everybody's here. The whole crew, the whole Addict crew is here. I wanted to show you. I have water, but I'm going to be Here's a little ASMR for you. Today I'm going to be drinking out of my brand new True Crime Addict mug, which just arrived this morning. And it says, objection overruled grounds on it. So hopefully those of you who have ordered these mugs as well should be getting them in the next day or so, maybe Monday, unfortunately. But I have to say I love it. They turned out better than I expected. They're bigger, which means they last longer, so I'll need fewer refills. That is good water. That is really good. Let's see. Germany. Who's in Germany? Dallas? Currently living in Germany past 5 p.m. Dallas. I think that's the first time I've seen somebody chat from Germany, or at least mention it in chat. Let's see. I've been enjoying tuning in since you're following all the cases I watch. Stephen, yeah, it's great to have this in common here. Ferry in the UK, welcome. 4 p.m. Glad you're not missing any beauty rest here. Maybe this is a good time for everybody. Let's see. I'm stuck. Debbie, where are you stuck? Are you stuck in the internet? TW will be happy to help. Just send him a quick message. But it's wonderful. Okay. I wanted to do a couple things. I think today I wanted to share an uplifting story first of all. And I think I've got all the pictures lined up that I need for that. I might have to double check to see if there's one more I missed loading into my viewer. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I also wanted to answer a question, because I got a question yesterday, actually at the end of the show, I believe, from Patty Day. I'm not sure. Patty, are you here yet? Has anyone seen Patty in chat? I might hold off to Monday if she's not here, because she asked a really a good question she wants an answer to. I don't see her in chat yet. So Patty, if you're here, drop us a little thumbs up or a wave in chat. If you are, we'll go ahead and answer your question as to the best of my ability. We might have to recruit Matthew Harris to answer as well. But it's a great legal question, and it sort of applies to some of the things we're talking about with DB, as he was his own lawyer, with Sarah Boone, who has a public defender, or has 6 public defenders, 5 are excused, and she's on her 6th, as well as about 75% of the felony appearances in court are with public defenders. And it was a question about public defenders. So we'll save that. It might be Monday that we address that if she's not here. So I'll hold on to that for a little bit. Okay, the other thing, first of all, how are you guys doing? Anything exciting this weekend? What am I keeping you from? Let's see, done with coffee, moved on to George Dickel, waiting for Tennessee-Georgia game. Go Vols. Volunteers, good luck there. Let's see. Dunblonde69 says, just came across you this week, and I absolutely love the vibe here. Very informative and friendly. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Not sure what the name means, but I think you're much more intelligent than your username might let on, and maybe you're just trying to trick us. But welcome. Appreciate any feedback or questions you have. Patty J just turned in. Let's see. Okay, Patty. I got your question right. You sent it on the hotline number, the recovery addict hotline. And I got that. I was going to try to answer that for you today, but I do have one question as well, Patty. If you can just, if you're comfortable doing this, can you put what state you live in chat, or the state you particularly have in mind with your question? I might do a tiny bit more research on that one just to see what the rules are specifically there. Shauna, I'm glad I could help. I went with my family, went and volunteered. We clean at our church. Every few weeks we help clean the church, and we did that this morning. So I got to help clean a couple bathrooms, not just my own, but mostly just vacuuming for me. Let's see. Donna says, I have to clean the child's disaster of a room, but I'm here. Donna, I hear you. I've with 6 kids, I've been there. Trust me. My wife has been there a lot more than me, but I've been there as well. Debbie's just trying to stay warm, new to this home, and can't figure out how to turn on the heat. TW, I think that's internet related, so that will be your responsibility if you could help Debbie out there. Patty says Washington, but moving south to California or Oregon or it's like south, like Georgia, North Carolina, something like that. We'll look at Washington really quickly in relation to that. Quick Google here to make sure the information applies there as well. I can't talk and type at the same time. One day I'll learn how to do it, but not today, right? Pauline says, I have loaves of sourdough bread in the oven. Oh man, do you keep like the sourdough starter? Is it like a 100-year-old batch of starter? I'm always curious about that when people have this starter that's been passed down for generations. Amazing stuff, and tastes delicious, by the way. I love a roast beef on sourdough. Oh, that is heaven as well. Dallas K has a little dog to walk. Unless you reset his inner clock. No, I think the dog's going to set that schedule for you. Patty, South Carolina. All right. Well, I think you'll love it in South Carolina. Very different from Washington, but we'll look at that. Okay. So let's first talk a little bit about the story I wanted to bring up. We've talked a lot, and this week there have been some heavy days where we've gone into really some of the hardest parts of crime, listening to both the details of the horrific acts, the injuries, the wounds on people who had died, the effect that had on the family and everything like that. And some of those days can be hard. And I wanted to have sort of still a crime feel about today's show, but look at a situation that ended a little bit differently. And in doing this, I'm not trying to be judgmental on any of the families that are going through the grieving process, and so I don't present it for that reason. But if it pleases the court, just want to tell you a little bit about a guy named Chris Williams. Chris Williams was a young father of, I believe, three kids plus one, almost. His fourth was his wife was pregnant. Married father. He went out with his kids. They'd spent some time together. They went out, took the wife and the kids to, I think it was like a Baskin Robbins, which was an ice cream shop. It's pretty much across the nation, I think. And evening, they're coming back and they're driving along a road that goes under the freeway. So it's an underpass where the freeway is sort of at eye level and you have to dip down to go under and come back up. And when he dips down, he sees a car coming towards him at freeway speed on this little side street that goes under the freeway. Happened really fast, but the car was in his lane, and he tries to swerve, tries to avoid it, and it's too late, and he ends up being struck by this oncoming vehicle at about 55, 60 miles an hour, and really T-bones the car and hits the passenger side where his wife was sitting, and it kills his wife, and it kills two of his children in the car, and injures a third. The fourth child is away with friends and wasn't with him at the time. But he tells this story, and he says, basically that it just happened. It was so fast, it happened. And he's just, as he's trying to regain his senses, his consciousness, his awareness of what's happening, he's sort of just really starting to put things together as he's trying to get his hearing back and his vision restored, just in the seconds after this, where he may have blacked out briefly. As he's coming to, he looks over and he sees his wife let out her last breath. He looks back and he sees his children who've sustained massive traumatic injuries which aren't bleeding, which means the heart is not pumping. And he knows that all three of them are gone. And in that moment, he says 3 words came to him, and they were "let it go," which is unbelievable. He's sitting there. He doesn't even know the situation about what happened fully, about why. I mean, it could have been somebody who had a medical condition, or that hit him, somebody out of control, a vehicle problem, malfunction. But he looks over and he sees the other car, and I'll show you just the accident scene here really quickly. Let's bring this one up here. Okay. This is the accident scene. So where Chris is standing, this car, I'll zoom in here on that one right there. That driver door open, that's where Chris was, and he was sort of pinned in the vehicle. The white tarps are placed there because they have not yet been able to remove the bodies of the victims in the accident. He's sitting there and he looks out and he sees the upturned car of the vehicle that struck him. And he decides in his heart right then that he was going to forgive, without knowing the situation. Ends up going to the hospital with his other son, who's badly injured. And when he sort of comes to in the hospital after he's been worked on and everything, his first question was, what happened to the other person? What happened to him, the other driver? And at that point, he finds out that he was struck by a 17-year-old kid who had been drinking and driving. That kid's parents didn't know he'd ever tried alcohol. They had no idea. And this kid had now killed his wife and 2 of his children, as well as their unborn baby. And he decided in his heart to let it go, to forgive. And it didn't take the pain away. It didn't take the loss away. This isn't some miracle drug that suddenly just makes it easy to have that close of a connection just ripped away from you and gone forever. But he did this, and eventually he met up with this victim, or with this other driver. Let me see. Did I put that picture on here? I have it right here. He met up. This is actually Chris and the driver. He met up with the driver and had a heart to heart, just full on told him, didn't hold back, and said, this is what happened. This is what you've done to me and my family. But at the same time, he didn't want this one bad decision, and it was a bad decision by this kid, to ruin his life. And by doing that, he sort of told the judge, he said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, when he went to court. He said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's your job. But I don't really want this to destroy his life, like it's destroyed mine, But I think people could get second chances. The kid's case was actually held in juvenile court instead of adult court, and because of that, he was sentenced to the maximum in juvenile, which is to be held in a secure facility until he turns 21, which he was. He's now over 21, and he and Chris are friends. They've appeared on a couple television shows together, talking about this, talking about forgiveness, talking about mistakes, and there's more to this story too, because Chris, the gentleman on the right, when he was about 16, about the same age as this young boy that hit him, when he was about 16, he was just driving normally under the speed limit, on a road, and 2 kids darted out between 2 cars and in front of his car. One was 5, one was 3. There was no time to swerve. There was no time to even notice. They came from nowhere. There was really nothing he could do. It was every form of accident it was an accident, and he struck these 2 kids and ended up killing the 5-year-old. So he had been in a situation where he was responsible for someone else's death, albeit it was accidental, and had been through that. So it was just amazing to hear this story, to hear somebody who really had every reason to hate, every reason to be bitter, to be angry, to forgive, and see that he, although it still hurts, right? He still misses them. He still has that loss. He's been able to move on in other areas, and it hasn't like held him back on an emotional level because of that. Anyway, I just wanted to say that is an uplifting story. In searching for that story and looking for that, because I'd heard about that was when it happened, I was amazed with how many similar stories there were. There's a woman in New York who, I believe it's New York, who some kid threw a frozen turkey out of the window, coming the opposite direction, and it went through the windshield and smashed almost every bone in her face. And she forgave him. There's all these stories of forgiveness where really no forgiveness is earned at all, and sometimes not even deserved. I mean, this kid felt remorse. This kid felt sorry. Other ones haven't, and there's still been forgiveness. But I just wanted to just show you this because even amidst all the craziness and the gore and the pain that we see in this, there are stories of hope. There are stories of people who take a bad situation and turn it into something amazing, something good, something awesome. Sorry, and I forgot that I had that picture up on the screen that whole time. But if you guys have a story like that you've heard about, or if you know of somebody that's just doing above and beyond amazing job at being human, which we all are, let me know. I'd love to share it with everybody else. It's uplifting. I think it helps us to see people who, arguably are handling situations better than I would. And it's inspiring to know that can be done, and maybe I can do a little better in what I'm doing in my life with what I'm dealing with. So with that said, Patty, sorry I made you cry a little bit. I told you it would be uplifting, and I told it in a little bit of a sad way, but really it's a story of hope, and forgiveness and healing. And it's been, it's been some years now, and so it's easier for Chris to talk about it. But you can find I think they've made a movie out of that as well as a book. I think it's called Let It Go or Just Let Go. Might be the name of the movie and the book, but you can look for that. Anyway, it's a heart tugger. Sorry about that, but it ends well. Really, it's like considering, all the parts that we can't change, which is bringing people back. It's the best possible outcome, and sometimes when we have cards dealt to us that we can't change, there's a way we can reach the best possible outcome as well. Okay, so Patty, let's talk a little bit about your question. Let me see if I can play it here first. If you don't mind, I'm going to play your voicemail, Patty, so we can all hear it. Here we go.
This is Patty J. What I want to ask is about defense attorney process. People who have money seem to be able to put together a team and get a great attorney. But what if you are innocent and you can't, and get stuck with someone who is not fighting for you? Can you fire them?
Okay, so this question is running through Sarah Boone's head right now, right? She's got this lawyer that's not answering her phone call. She, it's like, where are you? Where are we? Court's going forward. I haven't heard from you. What's happening? But with all that, you want to know, can you fire a public defender if you don't like them? And there's a yes and a no answer. In some states, it's easier than others. Say, for instance, it may be a little easier in California than in Texas. And so we'll have to look. I couldn't see anything in South Carolina just off the top of my head, or Washington, but a lot of states have something where you can approach the judge, and you have to realize that when you have a public defender, that public defender represents you in all criminal proceedings before the judge. So unless the judge speaks to you directly, you don't talk to the judge. That's not your place. You have no right to talk to the judge. Your lawyer is talking to the judge for you. And so, with very few exceptions where the judge might ask you yes or no questions for the voir dire. Yeah, the questioning. Every time I think of a word like that, it escapes me right as I say it. When the judge goes through the questions, and she needs to know that you made this decision freely, she'll question you. But so you can fire them, but generally you'll have to show cause. You can't just say, hey, next, I don't think this one's going to do very well. You'll have to show that they are either not able to defend you. You could, either through their workload or through, incompetence or something like that. And there's just absolutely no way to get a new one. Some of that is done through something called a Marsden hearing, where you make a motion, a Marsden motion. It's one of the few motions you as the defendant can make by yourself straight to the judge, because the lawyer can't really present your argument to remove himself. It's sort of like, you can't do that. You need an outside place to do that. So that Marsden hearing, the judge will question you about why you think your lawyer is no bueno. And then he'll question the lawyer, and he has to make his decision based on the evidence presented right there in that hearing. It can't be based on his feelings about the lawyer or anything else. And then he'll determine if it gets replaced or not. Unfortunately, for a lot of states, it's a little different, and the option to replace your public defender really only comes through appeal after conviction, where you can say, "Hey, my public defender failed miserably, and and I needed, because he failed, I lost my case. And it's really a two-pronged part. You have to show that your public defender did something wrong, and you have to prove that if they had done it right, it would have changed the outcome of the case, which is extremely difficult. It's a very high bar to set. So yes, it is a serious disadvantage to have a public defender. Public defenders have a caseload that might be many times that of a private defender, somebody who you hire directly. Also, they might not have the same resources as far as team members and, ability to be able to be reached on the phone and met with and things like that. A lot of times public defenders won't collect phone calls. It's just too much of a hassle to try to get, paid back through the court and everything else. It takes too much of their time. So you really are stuck with just what they offer and what you get. So yes, if you do ever go to court, it's in your best interest to hire your own attorney, if you are able, which is expensive. So yes, so it does depend on your state, Lori. You're exactly right. But let's see, Debbie says, I was T-boned by a kid to me, and I felt really bad for him. He did tell the police it was his fault, just a kid trying to get to work in his father-in-law's van. Oh, man. Donna says, forgiveness is for your own sanity. Yep. Patty, I'm glad you're not in legal trouble. That is great. TW, it's a heavy load, man. I'm glad you stepped up there, seeing that no one else was doing it, and go ahead and volunteered in chat. I appreciate it. Let's see. Katrina. Oh my goodness. I've also had the opportunity to help at an accident before medical crews arrived, and it's scarring in a lot of ways. It's horrible. I was with on scene where up in Idaho where a pickup truck filled with a couple kids had run a stop sign and broadsided a farm truck and the farmer had not been wearing a seatbelt. And when I show up, there's needles all over the road, and there are vaccination needles for cattle and things like that. And just the farmer was thrown so far out of his truck, actually hit the steering wheel on the way out with his face. And by pure coincidence, his wife showed up on the scene before the police as well. And so we're there trying to, help everybody. And as he was saying, I can't feel my teeth. And his wife was saying it's because they're gone. They're all gone. But it was ugly. But man, I've also been able to be at a scene where, we just had a blanket in the back of the car and somebody was in shock. I got to, keep them warm, keep them talking, keep them, relaxed and sort of help them out. But Debbie says, 2 other things happened in my family. They killed my nephew, and years later my brother was hurt, and I'm having a hard time forgiving them. Oh, Debbie, I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. This was supposed to be an uplifting day, and I led you into this place that was no good. Debbie says, TW, you fixed my internet. You can do it. Let's talk about what's going to come up here next week. I think if you watched, I did a bonus live stream last night about the Dean Cummings trial. This is the extreme skier in New Mexico. He's charged with murder. It is getting bizarre. It's getting crazy. It's getting absolutely just like a circus act. There seems to be a great deal of ineptitude on the part of the state or the police department. There's a lot of equipment issues where normally in a trial this day and age we would have body cam footage and police radio chatter and computer details and things like that. That's just not there. And we have we've got everything. We've got one witness that even was in a coma and has lost memory of stuff he's testifying to. And in a grand jury, we have grand jury testimony that completely differs from what was actually true, what was the case at the time. I really think, and I was telling my wife this yesterday, I said, if this keeps going on, I think the defense is going to motion to have this whole thing thrown out. Like, this will end before it gets to the jury, because of how bizarre this is going. And I'm not saying that Dean Hughes did this in self-defense. I'm not saying because he doesn't have to prove it was self-defense, right? He only has to, the state has to prove it wasn't self-defense. That they bear the burden of proof there. But it's getting so bizarre. It's getting so almost comical and the defense lawyer is so good at what she does. I mean, she's a bulldog. She's mean and goes for the throat. Very, very good at that. But I mean, how do you explain having suddenly an extra gun magazine that just shows up in evidence that the state's already submitted that wasn't at the crime scene? It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's like, if this happened, what else was wrong? How do you explain not testing the mace to see if it, you've got people saying, I'm just familiar with that, that shape of canister of mace, and I'm pretty sure it has dye in it, but they never sprayed it. They never tested it. Just bizarre things. Debbie, I'm glad we find a place that's sort of cathartic for you that you can share that. Hopefully that does help. Shauna says, what? A coma patient? What happened? Yeah, the lead investigator was in an accident, was in a coma for like 9 weeks or something. And as part of that, he lost part of his memories. And the part he lost was the entire time he testified to the grand jury. He has no recollection of even going to the grand jury. Not just what he said, but that time period is just gone, right? But he does have recollection of the crime scene. And so it's bizarre. Terry says, yeah, they can't prove it wasn't self-defense. The burden is basically every time they bring up a witness to testify, everything they're saying can fit within the idea of this was self-defense. And then the defense team is just tearing apart each witness, even the police officers, that, there's nothing in here that proves it was murder. Everything says it was self-defense. They failed to test. I mean, literally the defendant, Dean Hughes, gave, his belongings, his clothes to the police and said, keep these safe, test them and everything. And the lead investigator says, yeah, we found his clothes hidden in a truck. And it's like, no, he didn't. The defendant gave them to you and said, please keep them safe, test them for mace so you know that this happened, type thing. They never tested them for mace. Does mace justify firing on them, Katrina? It doesn't, but they have to prove that it wasn't self-defense. It may be enough because there was a firearm they were struggling over. I don't know why he had the firearm in the first place, but he doesn't have to talk about that. They just have to prove that it was murder. So, Dallas, yeah, the poor guy with the memory loss. What a disaster to put him on the stand, poor fella. Exactly. And it didn't come out until cross, right? Or recross, I believe it was. Where the defense just sort of ripped him apart. He's like saying, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember. I don't know. And it's like, why don't you know? And then the state said, why don't you remember? And he told, and it was emotional. He broke down talking about what happened. Debbie says, did you tell JB hello for us? JB, why is that not clicking in my head? Who's JB, Debbie? Hang on here. I've got a call coming in from a gentleman. I have to go help him move a refrigerator up into a balcony. But I'll do that here in just a minute. Debbie, I think the slow mode's turned off so you can type immediately as soon as you hear this. Debbie, sorry. Refresh me, who's JB? JB in Canada. JB in Canada. Okay, that's what you're saying. Sorry. I was looking in chat saying who's JB. I didn't catch it. But JB up in Canada, yes, definitely. If you're on here watching this on your TV, hello. I wish we could figure out how to get you in chat because I did get your messages as well. You're welcome to text me anytime, JB, at the hotline number, the 801-513-1160 number. It'll go straight to voicemail or it'll go straight to my phone. But hopefully we'll be able to play it. It looks like I've got another message here already that just came in. It is JB. It's JB. Hang on. Let's see if we can play this. We're going to do this live here. So hopefully he doesn't get too eloquent with some 4-letter words. But let's give this a try. I might have to play it twice. Oops. Let's see.
Hi, Recovery Addict. It's JB from Bowmanville. I haven't been able to get your channel. Is there something wrong?
Oh,
I
no.
don't know what's going on, but I hope to connect soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right, we definitely. I'm going to send him a direct message, probably with a link to the live stream here when we're done, and maybe see if I can get him some help with TW possibly to connect with the channel and make it put him on subscribe and so he'll get the bell every time it goes live. But hopefully JB will catch this one as well today and be able to say hello. Let's see. Joe Ellen, which one are we talking about here? The defense on Friday asked the judge to dismiss the charges. Judge dismissed some, but kept the murder charge and said to return Monday at 8:45 a.m. In the Dean case, New Mexico. Wow. Okay, so I missed that if that didn't happen. TW is on it. He is on it like Blue Bonnet, as they say. Blue Bonnet being a buttery spread that is not butter. Thank you. I must have missed that. Was it that right at the end of the day? This, if you're watching this New Mexico trial, the extreme skier, there have been a ton of sidebars, and we can't hear what happens at the sidebar, right? They turn off the audio, and the state, every time the defense wants to bring something up, they're like, "Oh, please, can we sidebar?" And it never goes that way. They try to object all the time, and the judge keeps ruling with the defense. So I really think he's getting close to the point where he might accept a motion to throw this whole thing out. So, yes, that happened. Amazing. Okay, so we'll catch that. We'll probably, since it's 8:45, let's see, that's 8:45 New Mexico time. So that'll be, we'll have some time to catch that up live. TW got his passport out, heading out the door to Canada. JB, we have help on the way. Appreciate that, TW, taking this job seriously. Owning the internet is a big deal. So, they came back after they'd gone off the record. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that. I'll see if I can pull some of those records and see if there's anything public that we can look at as to why or the reasoning. But that's awesome. Okay, after all that, it's been a little bit short. It's Saturday. I need to do a better job of doing something uplifting. In my head, it sounded much more uplifting than it went, and I do apologize. I think all I did was trigger everybody, and then let you down. I mean, it was a good story, but at the end, it's bad. Shauna, got to run. Sorry, guys. Have a good day. Welcome. I mean, thank you for being here. You're welcome to come back anytime, as you know. Happy weekend, everybody. From AJ. AJ, good to see you here again. We've missed you a little bit, but glad you're here. Wonderful. Let's look. I didn't play the voicemail that time. That's the first time I got it right. Okay, it's been a little quick, but I know you guys have things to do Saturday. Mowing the lawn, raking leaves, going outside, enjoying the fine weather, just cuddling up with the book, anything like that. The judge almost left. The defense asked him to come back. He's like, "Hey, one more thing, Your Honor. Can we just throw this whole thing out?" Patty, thank you. I'm glad you felt uplifted on that. Have a blessed day from Terry. Wonderful. You guys are absolutely amazing. I appreciate you. I hope those of you that ordered cups get them soon. I guess we'll hold it this way. Yeah. This is our little tribute to Washika. Objection overruled grounds. And on the other side, we've got the True Crime Addict. And you can get it in a couple colors. I got the red one, and I got... You can also get it in pink and blue, so I've got those as well, and they're pretty nice. So, hope you like those. We'll have to see which color we need to send up to the judge up there, Judge Darrow, with all her other fan mail she's getting, right? Later, Addicts says, TW, you've got work. Keep it up all weekend, TW, and we'll be back in the morning on Monday and give you a rest. So, thank you very much. I triggered you to clean. Wonderful. Okay. AJ, you tried to find the mug on eBay but couldn't. Try looking again. We sold out of the first batch. I had messed up the quantity for the inventories, but it should be better then. Maybe I'll make a link to it on my link tree or something. But thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch you on Monday. All right. Bye-bye.